from what we learned maybe in our previous studies, is there any other groups that were on the forefront of exploration and trade? We said Britain, we said France, we said Spain. Who else? Yeah. Portugal. And they mainly functioned and operated in South America, in the country known as what today? What country did the Portuguese settle? Yeah.
Paraguay?
Not necessarily Paraguay, but the one that came to my mind was for sure Brazil.
What do
Okay.
you think was the biggest player?
Huh?
What do you think was the biggest player?
In what?
Colonization.
Huh? Well, in colonization, it would have been Spain, because they pretty much took all of South America.
But they lost some.
Yeah, well, yes, they had some revolts. Their system of governing their colonies really didn't work out very well for them. Because they made the natives very upset, and then there was a lot of revolt that had happened within that those colonies. So, it goes to say it's probably a good thing to treat your colonies and your people in foreign countries pretty well, so they don't go get you. Okay. So yeah, today we're just gonna focus on the European stuff. We're gonna focus on Christopher Columbus and what he did as kind of championing and really being kind of the person that moved the rest of the world towards this new world. And when I refer to the new world, I'm thinking of North and South America. So give me a moment here as I kind of get my thing set up here for you. But yeah, we do want to, again, really understand the factors that came into play when these Europeans settled and started to, in some ways, people would say, invade these lands as well. So we'll be going through some notes and discussing things along the way. I encourage you to ask questions as we go that are pertinent to what we're learning. If you are confused or just wanting to know a little bit more, feel free to ask those questions as well. So we'll start on this first one, that is the causes, the main causes of exploration. And so before we maybe look on it and answer the questions from the slides, and maybe you can even fill in the blank yourselves, but what were some of the causes that initially these Europeans had to maybe branch out of their own local countries? What are some of those causes that would have, I guess, been the guiding forces behind the Europeans moving about into the New World? What are some things? And actually, I have something I want to share with you before. Any ideas? What were some of the causes? What are some causes? Davis.
Some more criminals.
Some were criminals and were maybe escaping the life as they know it. Okay, what else? Other reasons. Come on. Think about it. Why would countries be willing to spend the money and the resources? Yeah. Say that again? Well, right, and I was hoping someone would say that, because that really ties into the point I was going to make. During this time of age of exploration, we had most of the world believed that the world's wealth was fixed. What does that mean? It was fixed. The world's wealth is fixed. It's a fixed number, right? There's a fixed number out there, and let's just throw up $1 million just for our own kind of understanding. So this is the idea of mercantilism, right? Where countries were involved in the wealth and the wealth making of their country. So the more wealth you had, the more power you had, the more control you had. And so they started to see the world as, hey, if I have a trading post here, if I'm opening up spaces to other parts of the world, and then starting colonies or maybe overthrowing governments and taking that land ourselves, my country is going to have more of this money. Okay, so they viewed it kind of as this pie, right? What's our favorite pies?
Peach.
My favorite flavored pie.
Peach.
Yep. Peach pie.
Awesome.
Any pumpkin pie fans in here? Chocolate, you got the chocolate. My mother-in-law makes a really good apple pie, and that looks like a peace sign. Let's add something else too. We go like that.
Like a basketball.
All right, so we have a pie here, and if the number of the world's wealth is tied into a number, right? If one country, we'll say Spain, had this amount of wealth in the world, you could say the English had this amount of wealth. The French, they were doing pretty well somehow. But they were doing well. Portuguese, we'll say that, and then we'll just say the rest of the world. Right? Rest of the world. This fixed number. And so they see this world as kind of the piece of the pie. They see these resources around the world. Africa, Asia has these spices. They have these resources. And for our nation to be better, we need those resources. Right, so we could say that Spain is one of the wealthiest countries just by looking by this pie chart. And then what actually happens is their whole worldview shifts, right, when they discovered a new world, right? When they found out that there's a North and a South America, their pie just grew pretty much by twofold, right? So this number that may be 1 million, right? Maybe there's 2 million, right? And they felt as a government, as a country, as a nation, that it was their job to take more and more of that money or wealth tied into different places and different things to make their country powerful, right? And so that's kind of the driving force. One of the causes is wealth. But we have to understand how they viewed wealth back then was this kind of fixed number, right? If I don't have it, then they have it. And so you would go to war, right? You would go to war and you take people's resources and you would take their land because that's tied to that number that we have up there. Now, when we actually look at the world's wealth, it's not a fixed number. There's not just, hey, there's $15 trillion just out there today that is up for the grabs. Right? If that was the case, then, you'd have people actually fighting for it because that's quite a bit of money. But the idea is, we're going to expand our influence, we're going to expand our power, and we're going to gain wealth by sending these explorers out. Yes, it's going to be a risk. Okay, it's going to be a gamble, but maybe it's a gamble that's worth it, right? Does that make sense? Are you guys tracking with me?
Absolutely.
All right. I hear one, absolutely. I got a head nod. Got 2 head nods. Got some shrugs. I got a third one. All right, so if you really don't understand that, we can talk about it more. You can just talk to me later. It's like, hey, I don't understand what a fixed number is, right? So that's kind of a driving force. Now, let's actually look into our notes here and look at some of the other underlying forces. So, again, wealth, desirables that you didn't have in at the mother country. Every time I say mother country, I think of Mother Russia, just because it's kind of fun to say. All right, I don't know why, I just think of it, Mother Russia, and I start thinking like Vladimir Putin. Anyway, that is besides the point. But, right, you wanted resources that you couldn't get, right? I think about this in terms of fast food as a resource. I'm a big fast food type of guy, and I like to try different things when I go to, like, there's other fast food restaurants that are in other parts of the United States that they just don't have in Nebraska, right? Has anyone ever ate at an In-N-Out burger?
I know it's only like California.
It's like California, Texas, Arizona. It's like, man, how do they have such good food out on the West Coast and they don't have it in, Nebraska where they actually make beef and raise cows? But, right, it's a resource that they have there that I want, right? It's something I can't get unless I go somewhere else, right? And so there's this desire. I remember when Chick-fil-A was a thing. You remember when we didn't have Chick-fil-A in Bellevue and in the Omaha area? Does anyone not?
No, but I remember when we didn't have canes.
They didn't have canes. Right, the same idea. Those are the things that have been brought over to us. And it kind of ties into that idea is that when the explorers came and went